Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dengan kuasa yang diberi kepada saya oleh Tuanku Chancellor, maka saya isytiharkan istiadat convocation bersidang semula.
Okey, kalau ikutkan perasaan ni saya memang rasa sangat bangga. Bukan kata masa saya naik pentas tadi bila kita berkumpul bersama-sama tu dan mulakan langkah dengan langkah kanan untuk saya naik ke pentas tu, perasaannya ya Allah, memang hanya orang yang mengalaminya sahaja yang tahu betapa kita rasa bangga dan rasa kita punya pengorbanan selama ni berbaloi dan terbalas.
I feel very honoured, of course, to receive this growth from the first university of Malaysia, one of the, in fact, the oldest university of Malaysia. And then also, I feel that this is also a good model and also a good example that I can bring towards my nephew and my niece. And I hope that this also is a gift to give them as well, and also all my parents, and also my family members, and also of course my late grandma, that I want to give this present to her as well.
From what I feel is very proud and very grateful for this opportunity where we are able to graduate at Universiti Malaya. And I'm also very thankful for all the lecturers that have taught us during the diploma, and that they are able to let us to learn new things, and at the end of the day to graduate at this day. So I'm super grateful and proud of today. So before this, I actually have an interest in studying business management, and I've actually surveyed to a lot of university before. And one thing I find it special in UMCCed is that their course structure are very relatable to the current business world. Like for example, project management, business strategy, and like corporate communication. All these subjects is very practical, and that you are able to apply it in real life.
Okay, why do I choose UM is because I have known this you quite a long time actually. I have been influenced by my secondary school teacher, and then she is my class teacher in fact, and then she continued her bachelor in education, and then she teach me English, and I feel that it's very inspirational, and I found that this U is really a good platform for all the students to engage with their lecturers, and also to engage with the social life, and also the companies, the future development plans. And I found that it's a big platform, and it's very extensive, and it can be collaboratable for a lot of students as well. Therefore, I find that it's a good platform for students to study here, and also to chase their dreams.
Jadi apa yang saya tak boleh lupakan, saya duduk di rumah secara online. Jadi keluarga pun saya perlu berikan perhatian juga. Di situ terdapat kekangan. Namun saya bersyukurlah kerana keluarga saya memberikan sokongan dan sentiasa memberikan yang terbaiklah kepada saya. Sampaikan saya belajar, sepinggan nasi dihantarkan kepada saya supaya saya tak keluar daripada saya belajar. Saya sentiasa membaca dan menghafal apa yang saya belajar. Jadi dari situ saya tak boleh lupa momen tu. Bila naik ke pentas tadi, saya teringat balik, susahnya saya nak mendapatkan apa yang saya dapat pada hari ini, di sini dan di saat ini. Cukup susah, cukup sukar, Cik.
So there is one assignment, it's called corporate communication, where we are asked to do a video on video advertisement for any company. So the company we chose is AirAsia, And because we need to do an advertisement for the company, so there are a lot of opinions from my group mates. And we had a lot of argument through the discussion process because everyone thinks that their idea is better. But through the assistance of the lecturer, we are able to solve the conflict very productively, and at the end of the day, we can reach a consensus to come up with an idea to produce an advertisement for Asia. So after that, we managed to book an Airbnb and stay there to shoot for like 2 days with just our phone camera. And up until today, I'm really proud of that product because we have also sent to Tony Fernandez, the CEO of Asia, and he actually seen the video, so it's kind of like an achievement for us.
Oh, of course, there are a lot of memories. For example, the most common ones would be like sleepless nights, where you need to study hard, and then also I find that the most memorable one is like because of times of COVID, right? So we cannot really see our friends. So sometimes we need to take the extent that we need to like maybe come to campus when it's open, and then to rush our assignment because it's like the deadline are near. And I remember that a few nights we like until 1 or 2 o'clock we need to settle the video, because COVID, right? So a lot of presentation from live become recorded sessions. So we need to take a few takes, and that would be like the most memorable one.
Wave Beat Music.
Okay, for me, I would personally recommend UMCCed because, as I mentioned earlier, it not only broaden your knowledge is on the subject matter itself, but it also changed the way of you thinking towards a certain subject. And aside from that, you can also compare the course structure of UMCCed and other university, and you'll be able to find that most of the syllabus are actually up to date and is relevant to the current business industry. So if you are looking for a course which provides you latest knowledge and a structured process for you to gain knowledge, then I would personally recommend UMCCed.
Okey, seperti saya katakan tadi, kalau nak sambung belajar, datanglah ke Universiti Malaya ini kerana di sinilah segalanya ada dan kita akan dapat ilmu kita di sini. Jadi saya menyeru kepada siapa-siapa yang pelajar-pelajar yang berminat, maka datanglah ke Universiti Malaya ni.
Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Learning Italian and Spanish, brought to you especially from UMCCed and Faculty of Languages and Linguistics, Universiti Malaya. I hope everyone is having a lovely day, had your breakfast and ready for our topics today. Just as a reminder, we provide a certificate of attendance for this webinar, so stay tuned until the end of the webinar. We'll give a link for attendance 10 minutes before the webinar ends. Hello everyone, my name is Noor Atira. I'm your moderator today and I'm from Center of Continuing Education, Universiti Malaya. So today we'll be focusing on two of the Romance languages, Italian and Spanish. But it's not just that. We'll be discussing the history, culture, and economy related to those languages. Without further ado, let me introduce you to our lovely speakers, Mr. Andrea Paduano from the Department of Asian and European Languages, and also Ms. Adlina binti Hishamuddin Shah, also from the Department of Asian European Languages. How are you guys?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Hi,
Hey, good morning.
All
Good,
right.
good.
Cool. Okay. Mr. Andrea, I hope you are well today. So, if you don't mind, can you tell the audience a bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Andrea Paduano. First of all, of course, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I'm a language teacher from the Italian division, and I'm also the coordinator of the Italian division. And actually, my story is a little bit complicated because I worked here from 2011 to 2017 for 6 years. Then I left. I went to South America. I lived there for 4 years, and I came back last January. So I'm new and old one on the stuff. So I graduated in arts with a master in musicology from the University of Parma in the north of Italy, and I've been working as a language teacher for about 20 years actually. So
Wow,
this is
20 years. That's a long time.
yeah.
All right. We go to Miss Adlina now. Can we get a short introduction from you, Miss Adlina?
Okay, so hi everyone. Assalamualaikum. Good morning. I'm actually quite new. I was a student here. I was a student. I was a student actually in UMCCed as well. I graduated from UMCCed. I did my diploma in human resource management, and then I decided to learn linguistics. Starting the year 2016. And yeah, I did my degree there, here actually. I was a
Mm-hmm.
student here. And then I went to Spain for a couple of months,
Mm-hmm.
6 months actually, during the pandemic. Um, and now I've been teaching for almost 2 years now. Yeah. Mhm.
That's a cool story. So we will be hearing a story from our own alumni. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So without wasting any time, let's dive into our first topic. So, Mr. Andrea, can you tell us more about the Italian language?
Of course, and in this perfect way, the second that I share a small presentation that is about, here we go. Okay, so first of all, as you can see, some of the beautiful landscapes of my country. Well, actually, as you probably know, Italian belongs to the Romance branch of the Indo-European language families. This is very interesting because actually the Indo-European language is a reconstructed language that was probably spoken 5,000 years before Christ in Eastern Europe, and then from that group, the people, the so-called Indo-European people, started to move to the east, and they gave birth to the Indo-Iranian languages such as Hindi, Urdu, Farsi, and Sanskrit, of course. And the population that moved to the west actually gave birth to the most of the European languages. Among this, of course, there's the Romance branch that include, as you can see, French, Spanish, Italian, Catalan, Portuguese, and other minority languages such Occitan, Romanish, etc. So, of course, this, like the other Romance languages, Italian developed from Vulgar Latin. That is a colloquial variant of Latin spoken by the Romans that they imposed on all the people under their rules. So Latin was the language of the Romans, okay, as we know. But originally, the Romans were a small population established in central Italy around the area that is now occupied by the city of Rome. So that is the capital of Italy. But starting from the early 8th century before Christ, this aggressive population started to expand their territories by subduing and colonizing the other Italic people who had already settled in the Italian peninsula in the previous century, such as you can see, the Etruscans, the Celts people in the north, Greek people in the south, and many others, as you can see. So between the late Republican and imperial period of Roman history, So we are talking about the late Republican period. We are talking about the last 2 centuries before Christ, and then later the imperial period. We can say the first 5 centuries of the modern era. Latin became the official language of a huge empire that, in the moment that they reached its largest expanse under the Emperor Trajan, actually spanned from England to North Africa and from Portugal to the Middle East. Nevertheless, when we talk about the ancient times, we must consider that just a very small percentage of the people was educated, while the great majority was illiterate. Therefore, humble people spoke Latin as a sort of lingua franca, which showed very significant varieties according to the area where it was spoken. In fact, after the fall of the Roman Empire in the late 5th century, actually the Roman Empire fell in the year 476 AD, the vernacular and local forms of the language gained more and more an important role in society. So for several centuries, however, and especially during the Middle Ages, Latin would remain the dominant written language used throughout European universities and in all the official acts and procedures of the Catholic Church. However, after the 11th century, with the growth of the so-called middle class, Latin started to be perceived as an artificial language. In fact, this new class was composed by people who were able to write and read, but whose knowledge of Latin was too poor to access literary texts. And actually, we had to understand that during the Middle Ages, there was especially after the 11th century, there was an economical growth, very important, the development, especially in Italy, in central and northern Italy. Many merchants become very rich, and these people, they normally study, so they were able to actually read and write, but they didn't actually were educated with the classical system, so they didn't speak Latin perfectly. And so these people were rich enough to access culture. And so this need led to a gradual refining of the vernacular languages of Italy. And in the early 13th century, the first poems written in local vulgar languages started to appear. And so, in fact, in the 13th century, the Italian literature written in vernacular languages, in local languages, and not Latin, started to develop. In fact, the first literary text in the so-called Volgare, so these dialects of Italy, is the so-called Cantico delle Creature, so the Song of Creatures by Francesco d'Assisi, written in 1224 in Umbro. Umbro is one of the local languages spoken in one of the regions of central Italy, where actually Assisi, Perugia is. This first experience was followed shortly by the poems of the Sicilian school, which produced new form of love poems in Sicilian language. This this group of poets was created by one of the greatest men of the Middle Ages, Friedrich II, the king of Sicily and emperor of the Germanic Empire. This very knowledgeable man, known as the Stupor Mundi, that means the wonder of the world, used to speak 6 languages perfectly. And he wanted to poetry that was by the normal people, the people who didn't speak Latin. And this tradition started to spread all over Europe. However, it was during the 14th century that one of the dialects spoken in the Italian peninsula started to stand out thanks to the genius of those who are considered even nowadays as the greatest literates of the Italian literature. And you can see Dante Alighieri, the author of the Divine Comedy, probably the most famous poem of Italian and probably international literature. Francesco Petrarca, the author of Il Canzoniere, a series of poems very famous in the Middle Ages, and Giovanni Boccaccio, that was the writer who wrote Il Decameron, who was probably the most successful novel of the Middle Ages. Well, these three intellectuals were born in Florence, the main city of Tuscany, that between the 13th and the 16th century was one of the richest and most powerful cities in Europe. This is due to the invention of the banks that actually started in Tuscany during the Middle Ages. So some families reach a level of wellness and of course, political power that made this town very influential. And so due to the work of these authors and the importance of the city of Florence, the local vernacular languages started to gain more and more prestige among the intellectuals of whole Italy. And when in the 16th century, during the golden age of Italian culture and civilization, the period that is known as the Renaissance, the scholars and writers of Italy started to discuss about which of the various vernacular languages of Italy was rich enough to create a text that could achieve the level of perfection of the classics, though the literature of the Greeks and the Romans. They chose the Florentine dialect to become the common language for literature. And from that moment on, we could say that the Italian language was born. Of course, even if the Toscan dialect became over time the national language, it remained an exclusive means of literary expression for various centuries, during which regional and local dialects continued to be spoken in the peninsula that remained fragmented in numerous small countries, often under foreign rules, until 1861, the year of the unification of Italy. So basically, from the fall of the Roman Empire until the late 19th century, Italy was separated in many different city-states or countries, often under the foreign rules. That is very interesting because it means that the Italian culture was born before the country itself. And because of this, the Italian language, based on the Florentine dialects, remained as a written language for literature for many centuries. And then, after the unification in 1861, it became the official language of the country that we speak nowadays. Of course, it took several decades for this language to impose as a spoken language in Italy, but after the invention of radio and TV, cinema, and of course the introduction of the educational system, this language became the first language for all Italians. And nowadays, actually, Italian is spoken by around 60 million people in Italy, and a total of more 70 million people all around the world. Actually, it's the official language of Italy, Switzerland, the Vatican City, San Marino, and the sovereign military order of Malta. But it's also an official language of the European Union, and moreover, it is recognized as a minority language in 3 other countries, Slovenia, Croatia, and Brazil. Italian is also widely spoken in Malta, Corsica, Albania, Luxembourg, Germany, and Belgium. In the Americas, it is spoken in the United States, Canada, Venezuela, Uruguay, Brazil, and Argentina. And this, of course, is because Italian before was a population of immigrants, and so they spread all over the world. There are probably around 80 million people around the world that claim full of partial Italian ancestry. And these people, I lived in South America and I know it very well, they are very proud of their Italian origin, and so they also preserve their language. The importance of the Italian language in culture, but also in industry, in music, etc., make the Italian the fourth most studied language in the world after English, Spanish, and Chinese. So you can understand from this brief introduction how interesting, important is the Italian language. Okay. Yeah, finished.
All right. Thank you. Fantastico. All right. So now we'll be moving to Miss Adlina. Can you explain a little more about the Spanish language?
Okay, sure. Hold on, yeah, I'll share the slide. Okay, hold on.
If it doesn't work, the uploading, you can use the share screen. It works.
Hold on. How do we do this? Share screen.
Click on Windows.
It's okay. Take your time.
We're live, so. By the way, it seemed very interesting to put together Italian and Spanish because they are very similar languages. When I arrived in South America, I actually didn't speak a word of Spanish, and after a couple of weeks, I started to speak because actually they are like two dialects of the same language. So it's very interesting because if you study Italian or Spanish, you can pick up the other language very easily. So
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Great. So for the introduction to Spanish language, there will be like three parts that I will present. The first part will be an interesting part for me actually, especially for us Malaysians. We know Spanish. Sorry, we know Malay, but interestingly, there are some words that are actually the same to the some of the Roman languages, such as Spanish and also Portuguese. Let's look at that. Perhaps the audience as well could actually interact with me in the comment section. Okay, so and perhaps Andrea as well could tell me some of the vocabulary that is in Italian. Okay,
Well,
so the first one is because Andrea speaks Spanish as well, so yeah, he knows.
yeah, sure.
So the first one is armario. Okay,
In Italian, armadio.
Armario también, ¿no? Muy bien. So, anyone would like to guess what's the word in Malay? I'm not sure if I can. I can't actually see the comments, but I hope someone did. Perhaps Atira, you want to try?
Is that an armor?
In Malay, the word
In Malay.
that's yeah.
Okay. Almari? The
It is almari. Muy bien.
oh,
Yeah, so sorry, I cognates are actually like words that are like the same and also it means the same in the other language, like two
I
words. Yeah. So there's also such a thing as false cognates, which is like they sound the same, but it actually means different. For example, most common false friends or false cognates in Spanish, English would be embarazada. Embarazada in Spanish actually means pregnant, but it kind of sounds like embarrassed, right? But it's not. It actually means embarrassed.
What is funny that actually in Italian, imbarazzato means embarrassed.
Oh,
It doesn't mean,
Okay,
it
so
doesn't
that
mean
is a
pregnant.
cognate.
Yes,
Yeah, muy
yes.
bien. So it's really fun, trying to like start this thing and find the differences and
Yes,
similarities between all
because
these languages.
originally in Latin, this means when you have something inside. That's why can be embarrassed, like you have something like a weight on your chest, but it means also to
Uh-huh.
be pregnant.
something's hidden inside.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Very interesting, right? Okay, so for the second word is bandera in Spanish, bandera in Portuguese. It's bandera as well in Italian, right?
Bandiera.
Bandiera, yeah. I-E. Okay.
Yes.
So anyone like to guess?
Yes, it's actually Bandera. Actually, on the comment
Bandera.
section, they actually have a lot of um, good
That's
answers.
great.
Yeah, so
Right.
Adlina in the comment, it said
Yeah,
Bandera.
can you read it for me?
Flag.
Yeah, because I can't really see it, right? So
Mhm.
bandera, muy bien.
Mhm.
Perfecto, because I mean, it's very straightforward, right? Okay,
Awesome.
and then we have jabón y sabaw. We use it every
Sapone
day,
in
hopefully.
Italian.
That's hard. That's hard to actually try to guess. Is it Sabah? Something like patience in Malay? No?
Unfortunately, I
Use
don't
it
speak
when
Malay, but it means soap. So how to say
it's
soap?
soap. Yeah,
It's
it's soap.
so. Oh, okay. Sabun. Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
sabun, sabun.
Oh,
Muy
okay,
bien.
cool.
Yeah.
So Muhammad Salman Farus from the comment,
Uh-huh.
Correct, correct.
he said soap, so that's cool.
Yeah, he's actually my student. Okay, great. Okay, and then we have mantequilla, manteiga, but in
Manteiga,
Italian it's burro,
butter.
no?
Yes, this is totally different. This is
Totally
because
different.
the Spanish and the Portuguese languages are more influenced by Arabic than Italian.
Uh-huh.
Even in
Mm.
Italian, there are some Arabic
Arabic.
origin
Mm-hmm.
languages, but
Words, but
in this case, no. In this case, it's
not
burro.
much.
That in Spanish means donkey. So it's totally different.
Donkey, right? Yeah, burro.
Okay,
In
cool.
Italian, manteiga, butter is burro, but
Burro.
burro in Spanish
Spanish
is
means
actually
donkey.
donkey.
Donkey,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So this is manteiga.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And then toalla.
Toalla.
Tovaglia in Italian.
Okay, so someone in the comment section, Kesha Virik say it's a towel.
It
Tuala.
is
Okay,
toalla.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And the last one, zapato.
Zapato.
In this case, Italian is different because it's scarpa.
Ah,
I think zapato is
anyone in? Mhm.
sepatu, as in shoes.
It is. Muy
Okay, cool.
bien. Perfecto. Okay, so now Andrea knows a bit of Malay as well, and we
Yeah,
know a bit
thank
of
you.
Spanish, Portuguese, and also Italian.
Mm,
Okay, great.
awesome.
So now, actually, if no, I'm sure everyone knows that Malay is somehow a little bit. I mean, these words they are influenced by the Portuguese because Portuguese was here like for a few years, right? So okay, now moving on to the Spanish language origins, I think it's a little bit repetitive because Miss Andrea has already mentioned it, but in a way, this is only for Spanish language or Castellano, as they call it, the other name for Spanish language. So we can actually look at the sustrato. Sustrato is the substrate, which is like the base of this language. So um, 218 years before Christ or before Common Era, there was already the Celtic language, the Iberian language, and also Basque. Okay, but surprisingly, Basque until up till today it still exists, but the other two has already extinct. This is due to the fact that the Romans, the Basque, is in the Basque country, the region Basque country. in the north of Spain. The people there, they live in the mountains, so like the Romanization didn't really get through that. So
It's also
okay,
one of the proudest population of Europe, actually.
it
No
is,
one
it
denies,
is.
even nowadays, it's very difficult to
Uh-huh.
realize.
Yeah. So and then for the substrate, the external influence. Okay, so in the year 206 before Christ, the Romans came to the Hispania, okay, to the Spain, and they actually speak a vulgar Latin or popular Latin, and it's different than the classical Latin because the classical Latin is actually used and mostly in writing, right? Mostly in writing by the higher educated and also higher class people. And for like the farmers or the soldiers, they actually speak vulgar Latin. So the Vulgar Latin is actually like the main root for the Castellano, the Spanish language. And then in the sixth to the eighth century, like people, the Germanic people from northern Europe, they came on and that was there for like 700 years or so. They were there and we'll actually look into that later. Yeah, there's
Uh,
actually another
yes,
story.
actually,
Okay, right.
after the 8th century, the Arabic people conquered Spain, actually.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So
And then
that's also
in the
now
year
it's changed.
711, yeah, the Arab people came, the Arab and also the Northern African, the Berbers. Okay, and these two are called Los Moros, the Moorish people. They came and also stayed for around 700 to 800 years as well. And then that's why these two languages actually came in contact with the Vulgar Latin, and actually like 4,000 words in Spanish are actually influenced by the Arabic language, which is like 8% of the lexical. Okay, and so from Varga Latin, it produced the dialect of Astur Leonese, Mozarabic. Mozarabic is actually like a combination of Arabic and also Castellano, Castilian or Spanish. Yeah, and then Gallego, which is spoken in north of Portuguese, which is like also like a combination of Spanish and Portuguese, and then Catalan is spoken in the region of the Comunidad Autónoma de Autonomous Community of Catalunya. People in Barcelona they speak this, and also yeah, the language itself. That's the topic today: the Castellano or the Spanish language.
Adlina, you know
Castellano.
that Catalan is also spoken in a part of Italy, actually in Sardinia, in this island in the north, and it's one of the recognized minority languages of Italy. So there's a small community in the north of
Ah,
Sardinia that speak Catalan because in the 15th century, some knights from Barcelona came over and they settled there. So there is still a small
ah,
community speaking this language. It's very interesting.
great. Great to know. Okay. So Castellano, it got its name from the region of Castilla. Okay. So here they are, the resultant languages. Okay. So let's look at the timeline. A very long one, but just bear with me. So, in the year 3000 before Common Era, the Iberians came. So, like the Iberians, like I said, the people from Central Europe, but it really has like a little influence on the modern Spanish. Then we head on to the year 1000 before Common Era. The Celts came. Okay, the Celts came, and like many modern words came from them, like veranda. which is actually the same in Malay, beranda, beranda. Okay, terko, terko means stubborn, and kargar, kargar means to load. It's a verb. Okay, so in the year 600 before Common Era, the Greeks came and built a trading post, so there were like a lot of trading there. Also, there are many other, little pueblos, like peoples of villages that came over, like the Phoenician, the Carthaginian. So it has those influences. Okay, some of the words are academia, carta, and also phosphorus. Okay, as a chemical element there. And then in the year 206 before Common Era, the Romans arrived, bringing in the vulgar Latin, because, yeah, like I said, the Roman soldiers spoke the vulgar Latin. Okay, and then in the year, and in between that, actually, in the year 400, um, 400 around here, yeah, 300 to 400, um, in the Common Era, okay, after Christ, Anno Domini. The vulgar Latin was influenced by Germanic languages because they had a contact with the barbarians from Northern Europe. And some of the examples are guerra y ganar. Guerra is actually war, and ganar is to win.
By the way, it's the same
And
word because
mhm,
the original Germanic word was a var, gvar, that in
var.
Latin Romance languages became guerra or guerra in Italian, and in Germanic
Ah,
languages became war, gvar, etc.
hmm, interesting too. Thanks. And also, then in the year of 711, the Moors came. The Moors, like I said, the Arabs and also the Berbers came and conquered the area, bringing Arabic influences. Like I said, there are 4,000 words um, that are actually influenced by the Arabic language, which is like 88% of the vocabulary. So almohada is one of the examples. A lot of words that start with al in Spanish is actually like al from the Arabic. Al is the. It's like el.
Article.
So yeah, the article. Almohada is actually pillow. Azúcar is sugar, and barrio is neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, so Andrea, you want to say something?
No, no, I mean, we can add, of course, because this can be interesting. We have to add, of course, the influence of Arabic languages on Spanish is huge, but it's pretty big in all the other languages because basically during the early Middle Ages, the Arabic civilization was the most developed one in science, mathematics. So there are many, many words in all European languages that technical words from mathematics, geometry, and astronomy that comes from Arabic, even in Italian.
Mhm,
Algebra,
mhm,
like zenith, we use a lot of words because
mhm.
they had the best scientists of that time in
During
Germany.
that time, yeah. Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for the additional note. So yeah, the Moors were there in Spain during for like 700 years as well, before the Reconquista, the reconquer of the land by the Catholic monarchs of Spain. So this year, the year of 1492, is actually like the highlight of the Spanish monarchs. Okay, so in March, the Reconquista happened, and the monarchs defeated the Moors, and also expelled Jewish and Muslims. So, and then in August, Antonio Nebrija published the first edition of the Grammar of Castilian Language. Okay, so because before that, they didn't really have like a rule or anything about the language. So this is the first one. And also in October, Christopher Columbus, as we know, has arrived in the Americas. So
He
starting
was
from that
Italian, not
point,
Spanish.
yeah. But he was some like hired by the
Oh,
monarchs
yes,
to,
absolutely,
yeah, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, so during that time, during those years until the 1826, most of the Americas, the South America was conquered by the Spanish monarchs, and also that is how the language became such a big use. There's a big use there in the Spanish, uh, other Spanish speaking countries. There are Latin Americas, and except for Brazil, because the Brazil, they only speak Portuguese. Okay. As they were colonized by the Portuguese. So this led to be, yeah, for Latin America to be spoken there. And in 1713, Real Academia Española, which is like our Malay, is like Dewan Bahasa Pustaka, was established to safeguard the correct use of Spanish language, which means they just want to, preserve or conserve how the language is supposed to be, used like grammatically according to these rules. They set them. Okay, so that's more or less the evolution of the Spanish language. Okay, we can actually see here in the map. Okay, this part here, Arabic and Mozarabic, is in the Andalusia. For like around 700 years, they were here, and then it became smaller as the empire uh, of the Arabs or the Moors um, has fallen. So other languages became more and more used, especially the Castilian from the region of Castilla. Okay, and you see Basque here. There's Leonese, Galician, because here is actually Portugal. So here is Portuguese. Sorry, Galician and Portuguese is spoken here. So, and then on the east region, or the Levante in Spanish we call it, um, Catalan is spoken, and actually in the region of Catalonia, and also um, on the south bit is actually Valencia. And there's actually still a debate whether or not Catalan and Valencian are the same. But it's kind of like the debate between Bahasa Melayu and Bahasa Indonesia. I think it's actually the same language. It's just a different variety. So, okay. As I mentioned about those other languages, the three other languages, they're actually important because right now they are also the co-official language of Spain, and it means instead of apart from only Castellano is the Spanish as the official language for the whole Spain. For this region, Catalonia, Catalan is also the co-official language. The Basque is the co-official language in País Vasco, the Basque country, and also Gallego is also the co-official language in Galicia. So, okay. Um, do you have time like to start with the pronunciation part, Atira?
Yeah, sure. We can just go with the we
Uh,
have time.
yeah. For now, how
It's
much do
okay.
I
Just
have?
go through it.
Continue, continue.
Okay, great.
It's very
Okay.
interesting, so the time is flying with you, don't worry.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
are here to
I'm
learn.
just afraid that I talk too much, that I spend a lot of time there.
It's
Okay,
no
great.
worries.
So perhaps Atira could to me, I think it's really important to just show you guys the pronunciation of Spanish alphabets and also digraphs, because I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of mispronounced how would you say words in Spanish. So yeah, perhaps we could start. Actually, it's really interesting for Malaysians because we know Malay, we know English, and the pronunciation if of Spanish. If you know these two languages, then it will be really easy for you to like actually learn Spanish and also Italian and Portuguese, because the vowels, the A, E, I, O, U, is just like in Malay, A, E, I, O, U, all the time. It's not like in English, like the A has like a few sounds and whatnot. So, okay, but and then the consonants, most of them are like English, but there are a few exceptions. So let's just get into it, okay? Perhaps Atira, you can you can repeat after me. Okay,
A,
árbol.
árbol.
Muy bien.
Arbol.
Big.
Albero in Italian.
Sorry, what is it?
Albero. Albero. In Italian is albero.
Altero. Altero.
Altero.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and then B,
Be.
barco.
Barco.
Barco. Barca in Italian.
Okay. Barco, barco.
It's feminine. It's not masculine. It's feminine.
It's feminine. Okay. This is masculine. This one is also masculine.
Oh.
Yeah, the words in Spanish and also in Italian have genders. It's just like in Arabic as well.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So for C is se.
Se,
But this one is cabra.
cabra.
So
Cabra.
se cara in Italian.
Cabra. No, in Italian. No, I repeat the Spanish word cabra. No, in Italian is capra.
Capra. Con P. Okay, muy bien. Okay, capra. Okay, so we'll actually look into this a bit later because C has like two different sounds, the S sound and also the K sound, right? Okay. And also, okay, in Spanish, we have two digraphs. Digraphs are actually like two letters that are combined as one, okay? So CH is called che.
Che.
Che. So che is for chicle.
Chicle.
Yeah, chicle is the chewing gum, bubble gum.
Oh,
Yes,
chicle.
we say chica.
Chica.
Chica. Okay.
Awesome.
Chica in Spanish
This is one of the main
girl.
differences between Italian and Spanish in the pronunciation because CH in Spanish is
In
chi,
Italian.
in Italian is k. And then
Yeah,
you
it's
get
like pistachio, right?
CHI, it sounds as the hard sound. While CICE is the soft sound chi in Italian.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why we write ciao, CIAO, not ciao.
CIA. Yeah, ciao.
That's
And also ciao in Italian is hello and also goodbye.
Goodbye.
Right?
Like aloha.
Two things.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the two things.
It's just
But in
informal.
Spanish,
I use all the time.
in Spanish, ciao is goodbye, adios. Like yeah.
Sí.
Okay.
Yes, but it's the Italian word. Actually, ciao is one of the most famous Italian words, and this is used also in German and in English sometimes. But they perceive it, and it's very interesting story. If I have 30 seconds, actually, it's because in the 50s there was a very famous Italian song by Domenico Modugno that was "Ciao Ciao Bambina," so bye bye baby. Okay, and basically, in fact, in many places they don't say just ciao; they say ciao ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
And especially the British and the Americans, they say ciao ciao, and they perceive it like bye bye. Actually, in that song, it means that, but actually, ciao you can use it also to mean hello. This is the reason why. So
Awesome.
Great info. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I don't mind because it's we want to talk about both these two languages, so it's really fun to like put it together.
It's
Okay,
funny,
and then
actually,
there's
the meaning of ciao, because originally is a word from the Venetian dialect, that come from ciao, that means slave. Because they used to say, the old time, they used to say, I'm your slave to, as a form of respect. I'm your servant. Okay? So from that ciao comes the word ciao that became.
Ciao.
Cool. Nice. Okay. And then we have dedo.
Dedo.
Dito.
Muy bien. Dito.
Dito.
In
In Italian is dito. D-I-T-O.
Dito.
Dito.
Ah, okay.
Similar.
Okay. And then we have elefante.
Elefante.
Elefante
Yeah.
in Italian is the same word.
Oh.
Oh,
okay, cool.
yeah. Okay, and then F. Faro.
Faro.
Lamppost. Is it the same in Italian?
Well, the word faro exists, but it means something slightly different. Is the lighthouse, actually.
Okay.
So this is more lampada, that is similar to lampu. Lampada.
Okay. Lampu. In Malay, it's lampu. Yeah.
Lampu.
Yeah. Okay. And then we have he. Gorra. The G, the he, also has like two different pronunciations. So we'll look into that later as well. In Italian, how is it like he?
No, the word is different because it's cappello or berretto, but we have the same thing, the same rule of pronunciation with the letter C and the letter G, because they have two. It depends by the vowels that follow, actually. So the difference is that we don't have the pronunciation he, but we have the pronunciation G. So like a J in just. So for example, yellow, the color yellow is giallo.
Giallo.
And rooster is gallo. So we have the same G like gorra, but the soft G is different. It's not he, it's G.
Okay. It's like in English.
It's like C, we don't have C. C is S in Italian.
Yeah.
But in the C is chi, or chi and k. These are the two pronunciation of the letter C in Italian.
Interesting. Okay, and then we have ache, and it's always silent in Spanish. Always, like hola, the Hola, Hola. It's pronounced hola.
Hola.
Yeah, hola. So this one is pronounced.
No, in Italian, the H actually is silent, and basically there are no words that begins with H. Okay, and there's just one as I have, that is O. But actually, in that case, as you can see, it's not pronounced the H. The H, we use it just to make the sound K and G after C and G.
Okay.
This is the use of H in Italian.
I'm not sure if this is Italian or is this Latin. Abere? Do you have that?
Avere is Latin. In Italian is avere.
Avere.
But avere in Latin is with H. In Italian without.
Okay. Avere.
Start with the A.
Okay, great. Nice. Okay, so this is harina then, flour. Okay, tepung.
Yes, in Italian farina.
Farina.
Cool.
Okay, and then we have I. Invierno.
Yes. In Italian, inverno.
Is the same, right?
Yeah.
Invierno.
From Latin, vernis.
Yeah, it means winter. Okay, the season winter. Okay, and then we have another usually mispronounced letter, which is the Jota, the J, Jota. The name is Jota. So J is always pronounced like a ho in Arabic. It's like h there. Yeah. So it's like you want to throw out your phlegm, you know. So it's jalapeno.
Jalapeno.
Yeah. So the next time you go to Subway to get on some sandwich and choose the jalapeno. Okay. So it's not jalapeno. And also another thing is the jojoba oil. You know, the jojoba is not just it's jojoba. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the letter K is ka in Spanish. Uh-huh. But normally the letter ka is actually like loan words from English, like this one, koala, kangaroo. Yeah. So there isn't like a lot of ka in Spanish. It's usually
Yeah,
like loan words.
the letter K actually doesn't exist in Italian.
Uh-huh. Because they use
In Italian, we have
right?
just 21 letters. So basically, the sound K is just C, followed by A, O, U, H, I, H, E. That is the letter, the sound K.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so and then it's L. L for loro.
Loro.
So it's a parrot. Yeah. Okay. So and then this one is another digraph, which is eye or doble L. So double L. Okay. This one. Yeah. So the double it's like yao yao as well, right? Yao yao. So it's like a Y. It's like an English Y. Yeah. So here is lluvia or llover.
Lluvia. Okay.
Lluvia is the noun and llover is the verb. Okay.
Llover. Okay.
Mhm. There are actually like a few pronunciation variations of pronunciations as well, depending on the region. Sometimes it could be like Y here, but sometimes it could be like in Colombia, for example, it could be like lluvia. It's like a j sound.
And in Argentina, it's lluvia.
Sh. Yeah, we'll go into that in a bit. And yeah, it's como te llamas, ¿no?
Sí, ¿cómo te llamas? Sí,
Yeah.
la llave. Sí. Che, boludo.
And then Argentina also has like an influence, from the Italian, right?
50% of Argentinians have Italian origin, so yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah,
strong.
so the way they say it is always like Italian as well, right?
It's pretty funny because they, for example, they don't use much the word pierna to say leg. They use gamba. That actually in Spanish is the shrimp, but
Shrimp, yeah.
yes, but they use gamba. That is the Italian word.
For leg.
Yeah, leg. Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so. Okay, and then we have eme. For mono. Mono, monkey. In Italian as well, is it mono?
No, it's scimmia.
Scimmia.
Scimmia. Yes, it's totally different.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, and then we have nadar, it's just to swim. Ene.
Nadar.
Italian, nuotare.
Sorry, nuotare.
In Italian is nuotare.
Nuotare.
Okay.
Nuotare.
That's the same origin, but it's different.
Yeah,
Evolution.
Okay, and then we have this one is the only letter that exists in Spanish or Castellano, which is the ñ.
Ñ.
With the little wave on top, right? The little wave is called virgulilla. Yeah. Okay, this is ñame. It's like in Malay, it's like a NY, right? The ñamo.
Like in Italian, GN.
Yeah, lasagna, right?
Yeah, GN, like sogno, bagnare, ragno. Those are written with GN. Lasagna.
Bologna.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. And then the is O for oro.
Oro.
And this one we first, oro Italiano. Okay. And this is oro is referred to the material itself, but if it's referred to the color, it's actually dorado or dorada, depending on the gender of the noun.
Dorato.
Dorado.
In Italian, dorato.
Same,
Dorado.
Dorado. Okay.
Okay. And okay, the last slide for the alphabets, but after that, there's actually like a few more in detailed on the specific words. So I'm not sure if we have time for that. We could actually um, continue that in the next section, but we'll just finish this one first. So we
Okay.
have pe,
Okay.
paraguas.
Paraguas.
Uh-huh. So it's very interesting because parar is actually to stop, and aguas is water. So it's to stop water. It is
To
the
stop
thing
the
to stop
water.
water. Yeah.
It talks a lot about the weather because actually in Italian is ombrello, like umbrella. That actually it means that actually to repair you from the sun because it makes the shadow. No, shadow is umbra. Okay,
Ah.
and then in Spanish is to protect you from the water, so the rain.
Uh-huh.
The two
Okay.
use of the umbrella, yes.
Mm-hmm. And there's also a few types of umbrellas. There are parasol. In the beach, it's parasol because sol is the sun. Yeah. Parasol is sombrilla. Yeah,
Yes,
sombrilla is from
of course.
umbra. It's a little different.
Yes,
It's a
yes,
little
of course,
same,
of
right?
course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, interesting. And then we have ku. Ku for
Cool.
queso.
Queso. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Queso.
So usually the ku, we'll actually get into that in a bit. But yeah, ku is usually followed by QUE or QUI, QUI. So queso here is in Portuguese it's queijo. Yeah.
Queso.
So that's how we got the Malay word keju, right?
I see.
Cheese.
Yes.
All
Uh-huh.
right.
Italian is different, it's formaggio.
All right.
Formaggio. Yeah.
Formaggio, yes, because it comes from the forma, that is the form I like to make the cheese actually. So
All right.
it's like the mold of that they use to make the cheese.
Okay, Miss Adlina, we have a question from the comment section. It's from Nur Anis Nadia. She said, can Miss Adlina give one other word example of the alphabet Enye?
Enye.
Enye.
Okay. There's not a lot of words that start with enye. Usually it's like in the middle of the words. Like, for example, lasagna. Lasagna or mañana.
Sueño.
Mañana is morning or also tomorrow. M-A, enye. M-A, enye, a, N-A. So mañana. It's morning or tomorrow. It's the same thing. So if you want to say tomorrow morning, it's mañana por la mañana. Tomorrow in the morning. Yeah.
Mañana. All right. Awesome.
Okay. All right. Shall I continue?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. And then we have ere.
Ere.
Ere for ropa. Ropa. Okay.
Ropa.
Ropa is actually clothes, but it's singular. Ropa. We don't really say ropas. We say just ropa. And then we have ese.
Ese.
Serpiente.
Serpiente.
Serpiente is snake, as you can see. It's a really cute snake. La serpiente is it's actually feminine.
Oh, la serpiente.
In Italian it's masculine. Il serpente.
Il serpiente. Oh, okay.
El serpiente.
And then and then we have te.
Te.
And then te with tilde, it's T. It's te.
Te.
Okay. But if you want to say te, like for example, if I'm sure you guys have heard of like te amo, te quiero, te is like to you. In Spanish, and we say it like that.
Awesome.
Te amo, it's like to you I love. Yeah. In Italian as well, right?
In Italian, in this case, with the verb to love, we use it's a transitive, so they use the straight object, the direct object. So it's ti amo.
Ti amo. Ti.
Although in Italian we are very specific, because we have two ways to say I love you, because it's ti amo and ti voglio bene. Because ti voglio bene is the expression that you use with your parents, your friends, because it means more that I care. I want for you good things. This is the actual meaning. And ti amo is more for partners, husband, wives.
I see.
Oh,
Okay.
in Spanish also there's two, te quiero and then te amo, but like te amo is like the opposite of the Italian te
Yes,
amo.
but
Te amo is like,
te quiero exists in Italian as well, that ti voglio,
okay.
ti desidero, but ti amo actually cannot be translated differently from I love you. It's like, it's actually the same thing. It's just we are very careful about expressing our feelings in Italian. So we want to be specific.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
ti amo, it means that of course, I love you, that it means I want you to be happy with me. Okay, and ti voglio bene, it means that I love you, of course, but even I hope for, you to be happy with or without me. So it's more without this interest, this possession that ti amo involves.
I see. Okay.
Oh, curioso. Okay, and then we have
U.
uno.
Uno.
Yeah, the number one, uno. Okay.
Uno.
In Italian is no as well,
Uno.
right?
Uno.
It's the same. Yeah, so it's not you, it's u. Okay.
U.
And then we have uve. V is uve.
Uve.
Vestido. Okay.
Vestido.
So uve is actually quite interesting as well, because in Spain they say it, they pronounce it as a B. There's no v. It's not like the V in Malay or in English. It's v. But in Latin America they pronounce this as a V. Yeah. So, but either way, it's fine, because I mean it can be comprehended. So yeah, just to clarify that ube, I mean in Spain, Castellano, they use the b sound. Yeah.
So imoto vestido instead of vestido.
Vestido, yeah, vestido instead of vestido in Spain. But if you say vestido in Spain, it doesn't matter really, because we appreciate like all the varieties that are in Spanish. And then we have W. W. Yeah, walkie-talkie. This one is also like there isn't a lot in Spanish language itself, because it's usually loan words. Yeah.
No, it's the same in Italian. I mean, we don't have X, W, Y, K, but of course we know these letters because they are used for foreign words. So walkie-talkie exists in Italian as well, and we use the W, of course, but it doesn't belong to the Italian alphabet, because they are not Italian words that use these letters.
Yeah.
So they are all foreign words that use them.
Yeah. So, and then we have X, which is X. Xilófono.
Xilófono.
Xilófono. Yeah. So, is there a specific pronunciation in Italian for? Is like more to Z or C?
No.
Xilófono.
It's X in Italian is X.
X.
X. So xilófono.
IKS, right?
Xilófono.
Okay. And then we have Y or J. Actually, there's another name for it. Y or the Greek I or the J, Y-E-J. Okay, so yogurt. Yeah, Y also has a few different pronunciations depending on the person or the region. Okay. Okay, and then the last one is the letter zeta. Zeta is like an S, actually. It's not a Z sound, it's a Z sound. So
I know. In Italian, no, it's Z.
Zeta. It's Z, right? Pizza. Yeah, it's still Z sound.
Yeah.
but in Spanish it's a S sound. So zapatos is like an S.
Zapatos.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have ended all the letters, the alphabets, the abecedario alphabets in Spanish. There are some letters in detail, but I guess we could end it now and continue later, perhaps.
Sure.
Unfortunately, if you want to learn Spanish, you have to enroll in the Spanish division.
Yeah,
UM.
don't forget.
Because you cannot do everything in 20 minutes, of course.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yes, of course.
Mhm.
So we do have one question actually from Momazaki Mama Yakub, why I must choose UM to learn Spanish. We actually will cover that up in the last topic, but don't worry. Okay, let's take a little break now because we have learned a lot of things today. So let's take a break now and then we'll be right back.
Hai guys, apa beza antara UM dan UMCCed? Korang mesti dah tahu kan? UMCCed merupakan pusat tanggungjawab Universiti Malaya. Maksudnya, kami bawah tanggungjawab Universiti Malaya. Tapi, kami berotonomi sendiri. Ramai yang tanya, UMCCed ni swasta ke? Silap tu. Kami bukan swasta tau.
The traditional Malaysian plays, and I think there are some kinds of the unique games in Malaysia. So, looks like the newspaper model game and the balloon is what is it's put in the legs.
Could learn lots of things like Malaysian culture and their language and their I don't know. I could make a lot of friends, Malaysian friends.
The fashion show. I mean the DIY fashion show and the traditional games and the baju Melayu baju kurung session. So apparently the students are not from the same universities, they're from all around Korea apparently. And then they shared a lot about like what they did ever since they came to Malaysia and like their favorite thing about Malaysia, like and then they wanted to go to Pusat Sains Negara and all, and then apparently they are happy here and I made friends with them and they're nice.
right, welcome back. We're back today with a webinar learning Italian and Spanish. So we still with our special guests, Mr. Andrea and Miss Adlina from the Faculty of Languages and Linguistics, Universiti Malaya. So just as a reminder again, the viewers need to stay tuned until the end of the webinar so we could give you the link for the attendance form. So you can actually fill it up, but we only give out 10 minutes before the webinar ends. All right, there actually one question from the comments actually. The question is from Chibimi. Does the program only focus on the learning language or history, or does both programs have the employability element, which is very important nowadays on the cost structure itself? I think that one will be covering on the last topic. So we just gonna hold that one first. All right. So we go back to the next question. This is for Miss Adlina. Why should we learn Spanish?
Why should we learn Spanish? Actually, the second this is a session, right? Where we talk about that. Should I go straight into that because we haven't really finished this one?
Okay, sure. If we can continue, maybe you can just relate the topic to the previous slide.
So actually, we do have that in slides. I'll probably answer that just a bit later. Okay, after we finish this few slides, 4 slides of the pronunciation. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
All right, great. So we will continue. Like I said, there are a few letters that are that makes a few sounds, different sounds. For example, the letter C, la C. Okay. Also, C is pronounced th. It's like a th sound, like fa in Arabic, or the C, the normal like S sound. So this one is Spain, and this one is Latin America. So that's the first part. And the second part, we have, this is the phonetic, how do you say it, alphabet, which is symbol, the k sound, or the s or th sound. So for letters, the words that start with letter C, A, CO, and CU, TA, TO, ITO, will make a k sound. For example, like just now is cabra, cuchillo, and then corona. Yeah. So cabra is goat, cuchillo is knife, and also corona is crown, and also the virus. Okay. So, and then the other sound is the s or th sound, which is fe or thei, cerezas. Okay, las cerezas, cherries, and also la ciudad. In Italian, I think it's ciudad.
Città.
Oh, città.
Città. Yes, actually, the rules of pronunciation, as I told you, are pretty much the same. The only difference is that we have the hard sound like K in English, Ka, Ko, Ku, like in Spanish, plus H-I-H-E. So basically also Ki, Ke. And so the sound Se in Italian is Ci. So that CE and CI is Che, Ci, and not Ses. So the words are pretty much the same. Capra, coltello, cuchillo, corona, same. Cerezas is ciliegia, but actually in many of the Italian dialects, cerasa. Yes, and ciudad is città.
Okay. All right, muy bien. Let's head on to the next letter, which is the G. Okay, the G in Spain is much deeper than Latin America. It's like G, and then Latin America it's just G, like H. Okay. So, and also the G makes 2 sounds: the hard sound, the G sound, the normal G sound. In Malay, right? G sound, ga, go, gu. GUE and GUI is a bit special because we don't really pronounce the U there, the U. We don't pronounce it. It's like G or E.
Yes, in Italian it's the same. We use the H, not U or, but we use the H. So GHE is ge, GHI is gi.
Like ghetto, right? Ghetto.
Ghetto, yes.
Okay, yeah. So we have the hard G. Most of them are G sound. El gato, cat. La guitarra. Okay, like we in English, it's also guitar. It's not guitar, right? Guitarra.
It's an Arabic
And
sound.
also guerra.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have the H sound. Okay, the H sound. GE and GI, GE. For example, los gemelos. Gemelos are twins. Twins, and also girar, to turn, is a verb. Okay, girar. Yeah.
In fact, it's actually in Italian are the same words, but the pronunciation is slightly different because of this JG. In fact, we say gemelli and girare.
Gemelli, girare. Okay, interesting. Okay, and now we go to doble L or elle. Okay, this one has 4 pronunciation depending on, sometimes it depends on the person itself, and also sometimes like this one, Chavez. Okay, Chavez, it's like the pronunciation of the Argentinian Spanish people. Yeah, but the most common are the first two, like llaves. It's like a Y sound, llaves, or llaves. Llaves is like normally in like Colombia. Yeah, so it's like llaves or llaves, chaves, llaves. The last one is like a L and a Y. So llaves. It's very not so common, but it's like certain parts of Spain, like Andalusia, the southern part.
You know that this is actually a rule that is development of the Romance languages from Latin, because all these words are actually in Latin were basically consonant plus L, normally C plus L. So llave, for example, was a clave.
Clave, yeah.
And in Italian, this C plus L in Latin becomes C plus E. That's why we say chiave. And in Spanish, it developed in llave. So it's always like this, like llamar, chiamare. It's a rule of pronunciation from Latin that, because of the substratus that you talked about before, actually they pronounce it differently, the same sound of Latin language.
Wow, really nice to know. Okay, and then then we have lluvia, the rain, llorar, okay, to cry is a verb, and also tortilla de patatas. Tortilla, I think you already know like tortilla as a bread, right? That one is actually from Mexico. When you say tortilla in Mexico, that's what you'll get, like the bread and stuffed things inside. But if you go to Spain and you say tortilla, normally they would refer it to tortilla de patatas, and they actually eat it in the mornings.
It's like diminutive of torta, cake.
Yeah, torta is cake, tortilla is diminutive, as like the smaller version. Yeah, tortilla. When I was in Spain, I ate this a lot.
That's very good, very tasty.
Yeah. And I always try to find like chili sauce, but it's so hard to find chili sauce there because it's always tomato ketchup. Yeah. Okay, and then we have the letter Q. As I said, it's always followed by the UE. UE or UI. Okay, so we don't really pronounce the U. It's just straight away ke or ki. Okay, so here is queso, and then quemar, to burn, and then kiosk, and then quitar, to remove. Usually the verbs, if you want to know what are verbs, the ending would be a ere, e ere, or I ere. But the most verbs are end
Yeah,
with
for the
a ere.
infinitive.
Yeah.
For the infinitive. Yes, of course, in Italian, exactly the same. We have the three conjugation, and you recognize by the ending of the infinitive that is are, ere, ire. This comes from Latin, straight away from Latin. So.
Straight away.
Awesome.
And then we have, this is the last one. I guess. Yeah, that's the last one. Okay. Y or J, okay, also has four pronunciations. It's like just the same as the double L, more or less. So Jo is I.
Joe.
So it's either like Jo or yo, jo, sho.
Show.
And if it's Y in the end, like this one, Hoy today, for example, hoy, it's like an I. Okay. Hoy and then el rey.
El Rey.
And this one is la yuca. Yuca is as cassava, as ubi. Yeah. Okay, and then el yemo, the yellow part.
El Yemo.
Of the,
Interesting that in Chile they use the feminine. They say la yema.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the four letters that I wanted to highlight, and now we could just get into why we should learn Spanish. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, sure.
But the question was why we should learn Spanish in general, or like in UM in general,
You
right?
can say why should we learn Spanish generally, and then you can relate it to why we should learn it in UM.
Okay, great. So, okay, first of all, this is based on the 2022 statistic and data.org. This is the source. They said that it is the fourth most spoken language in the world, after English, Mandarin, and also Hindi. Actually, in a few years back, just a few years back, like 3, 4 years back, Spanish was at the third rank. Okay, the third most spoken language in the world, but somehow it is now at the fourth. So basically, it's around there. Okay, these are the total amount of speakers um, that speak this language. Okay, the Spanish. So okay, now that we know that it is the most spoken fourth most spoken language in the world. If you already know English, that's already a really great advantage for us, especially Malaysians. We already know a lot of the English, our English is okay. And then for Chinese, and especially Chinese in Malaysia, of course, they already know Chinese, already know English. And if you know Spanish, it will be such a great advantage for like if you want to get into business companies, if you have Spanish in your certificate, your CV, it would be like really great, great advantage. And even certain companies like Shell, if I'm not mistaken, some oil and gas companies, they also provide allowance for those who have like foreign language certificates. Okay, it is also spoken. The reason why the number of speakers are so huge and so large is because it is the official language in 21 countries, which is Spain here, and then Equatorial Guinea, which is in Africa, and most of the countries in the South American continent and also the Central America. So we have Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Venezuela here, Mexico, and we know that Mexico is actually the border of the United States. And actually, in the United States, it's also second most spoken language in the United States because majority of the immigrants are from Mexico and other Hispanic countries. Yeah. So if you look forward to go to US, make sure you have Spanish in your certificate because it's really good for your CV. Yeah. So like I said, when you know this language, it's really great for your CV. If you want to do business, you want to do tourism and translation, because each country has their own, like, specialty. For example, Spain, you have it's a four season country, and it's really good for tourism. Um, Translation, we do know that they all speak the same language, and also then again, they create a lot of literature, so we can actually translate those things into our own language, Malay, English, or Chinese, if you know that language. And like right now, actually, I'm also doing a translation from a poetry book from Peru, translating it to Malay. So hopefully we'll get it done by the end of the year. Okay. Okay. Now we can look into the brands. Some of the most famous brands from the Spanish-speaking countries. Most of them here are from Spain, except for this one. This is from Colombia. So now that we've learned how to pronounce, perhaps, Atira, you want to try to pronounce each one of these?
I try.
Yeah, you try.
Okay, so the first one, it should be Zara.
Sarah.
And the second one would be Massimo Dutti. Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And Pull and Bear, is it Pull and Bear?
I think, yeah, this one is English pronunciation.
Okay, so the next one will be Bershka.
And E is E.
Bershka.
Bershka. Yeah.
Okay.
This one?
That one is Juan Valdez Cafe. Is it?
Okay, Juan Valdez. Yes.
Okay. All right, and that one will be Yao Yao.
Yao Yao, Vivian.
That one will be Mango.
Mango. Yeah.
Mango. Okay. Right. The last one will be Melia.
Melia. See, Vivian. Okay, these are some of the famous brands from the Spanish-speaking countries. So, do some collaborations. And then for tourism, I mean, there are like 21 countries. I cannot like fit all of them in one page, so I'll just show you some. Most of them here are in Spain itself. This is in Barcelona. All of these are like the architecture done by Gaudi. He's a very famous architect. His buildings, his architecture is very peculiar, very interesting. And in fact, the Sagrada Familia, the first photo on top, is actually still under construction since the year I really recall. Yeah, because it is done with very great detail and great imaginations. The second one is Casa Batio. Casa Batio, also very popular, and also the last one is Parkwell. Okay, very colorful, very peculiar. Yeah. And then Alhambra in Granada in the south of Spain, is, as we know, the Moorish people were here for in Spain for like 700 years or so. So there are a lot of architecture designs that are influenced by the Arabs. So this is actually one of them that they managed to conserve. It's really beautiful. All the carvings of ayats from the Quran, very detailed work. Okay, and then we have the Canary Islands in Spain. Really beautiful as well. It's sunny all year long. It doesn't get affected by the four seasons. And then we also have the famous Machu Picchu. And here are some alpacas in Peru. Okay, this is an old city. There's a civilization of the Incas. Okay, And then there's Tulum as well, Tulum in Mexico, and there's also like an old city from the old civilization from the indigenous people there. So I mean, if you
Have
could
you
do
actually
tourism,
go to of like any of
any
these?
any of
Places?
these, oh my god, I haven't, because when I was in Spain, it was actually during the pandemic. I
Wow.
almost went to Alhambra. I wanted to go to Alhambra in April, because April in Spain there's like a 2 week break or like something like that. But the pandemic was during the started during the end of March, so I didn't get to go anywhere. So I just stayed in Alicante region. But Alicante itself, it's a really beautiful place. The it's a city by the ocean, so along the coast, it's actually really beautiful. Yeah.
I've
So
been to all these places except in Mexico.
ah, you will soon. You went to Machu Picchu. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, Peru is. I'm supposed to speak about the Italian division. Okay, anyway. Okay. No, anyway, yes, Peru is one of the most beautiful places in South America because of the history, because of the cuisine that is actually a fusion from Asian and local and Spanish cuisine. So it's one of the best cuisine in South America. And Machu Picchu is wonderful, although I think that the most beautiful thing is to visit Cusco and the Inca Valley, because of course what is very peculiar about Machu Picchu is the position. Of course, for an Italian, it's like seeing these buildings that they are not very old because they date back to the 13th, 14th century. So basically, the level of development is more, it looks to our eyes, to European eyes, more ancient than they actually are. But Cusco, for example, is a really outstanding place. It's full of monuments, both colonial Spanish and Incas. And I love also the rest. For example, Lima is a magnificent. The cathedral is one of the most beautiful in South America, date back to the 16th century, and also the Nazca Valley, another UNESCO site with these images that you can see just from the plane. Those are date back to 2,000 years. These are really incredible. Some people think that they were the people from other planets that actually made them. So, and the nature, because Peru, I mean, there are passes like almost 5,000 years 5,000 meters tall. So it's you are in an environment that are totally wild and really, really outstanding. Like all South America. South America, from a natural point of view, is the most beautiful and with more varieties places that I have seen in my life.
Aw, it's really great to have the chance to go there.
I lived there for
Did you?
years.
Oh yeah. Oh, you were there, Peru. Okay.
And when I arrived in
Did
South
you?
America, actually, I didn't have a job, so I traveled for 6 months alone in South
Oh
America.
my God.
So I traveled from Uruguay, Argentina, Chile. From the north to the south. I've been to the southern city in the world, that is Ushuaia in Argentina. That is really on the south tip of South America. So it's.
Yeah.
There are sceneries that are unforgettable.
Oh, that's so cool. Did you get to meet the alpacas as well in Machu Picchu?
Oh, yes. Actually, more than alpacas, there are guanacos. Guanacos, because the guanacos are the wild form of this. Then there are the llama and
Llamas.
alpacas. They are actually they are bred actually to for domestic purposes. Okay, so yes, in South America, animals like condors or the whales. I saw whales and sea lions everywhere. Where I used to live in Chile, right in front of my place, there was a beach, and there were not less than 500 sea lions always standing there. So
Wow.
Awesome.
That is so nice.
I'll show you the picture of my trips.
Okay, great. You'll show in a bit. Okay. So, and then we also have some cuisines. If you're into gastronomy, going there, getting to experience the taste, the culture that is in the cuisines, like paella, and then the gazpacho. Paella can be of a lot of things, but usually it's of mariscos, which are seafood. This is very known in Valencia, the east region, okay, in the coastal line. And then gazpacho is actually a cold tomato soup. It's served cold. And also, like I said, tortilla de patata is basically Spanish omelet. It's called in English. So, but potatoes, patata is potatoes, onion, cebolla, and also egg. Okay. And also croquettes. It's kind of like a chocodo in Malay, chocodo, but yeah, it's a little different. It's very creamy inside. I really love it. And my friend actually knows how to make it, so we always make it together. Um, and serve it in events. So if you get to come to our like events someday soon, you may get to try our croquettes. Usually it's from hamon. Hamon is ham, but there's also like other types like potatoes or um ¿cómo se llama? Pollo, chicken. So yeah. hmm So also another reason that is kind of obvious, it's just actually one of the easiest languages to learn as an English speaker or a Malay as well. Like I said, we went through the pronunciation for the first part. We went to the pronunciation. We looked at it, and I mean, like I said, we know English, we know Malay. The pronunciations for the three languages, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian, is basically more or less the same. Just a few different, but pronunciation wise, our tongue is it's very flexible. As Malaysian, we can actually pronounce it well, very well. We don't really have pelat or anything. And then also it's in Roman characters. We don't really have to learn, like for example, if we learn Japanese, we have like three different types of characters. That part only is is already really hard, and that isn't really including the grammar part itself. The grammar part, if your English grammar is already strong, um, I would say it's totally fine to learn a new one. One of the Roman, one or a few of the Roman languages, because but it's best to learn one first, and then one first, and then to a certain level you jump to the next. Because if not, if you learn like two Romance languages at the same time from the beginning, you'll really get all mixed up. So yeah, and then that is the reasons why I love, basically, the economic value, um, the chances to bring you to um, another part of the world, exploring the culture, the cuisine, getting to know the people. And because once you know the language, when I was there, um, it's really easy to make bonds, and exchange ideas and perceptions between people, two cultures. It's really, really nice. And also another thing, the most important thing actually, as you know, UMC said, is stands for Universiti Malaya Center for Continuing Education. So of course we believe that education is lifelong, is a lifelong learning and education. So I believe that by knowing another language, foreign language especially, it really opens up, creates a bridge to knowing more things. If you know Malay, your sources of info or your knowledge are only in Malay. You know two languages, you have more. And now you know another extra language, you can, really absorb things. Like one of the things that I kind of wish I learned is Russia, because due to the what happened the other day. I think if we knew Russian, the language itself, we can actually understand exactly what's happening. Because for now, we know English, and it's only from one point of view. Our sources of information is only from the West, English people. So, but if we know the other languages, it could be like beneficial for us. We can actually know two sides of the story, things like that. That's my personal opinion. So, yeah.
Very, very personal.
Yeah, can't really get too detailed into that. So yeah, that's it from me, I guess, for this part.
All right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
We're gonna go to the next topic, which is we're gonna go back to Mr. Andrea. We all know that you are from Italy itself, so you're Italian. So can you tell us a little bit about Italy as a country?
Yes, sure. Okay, I can share my continuation of the slides. Wait a second. Okay, so as you can see, the title of this is Italy, the Beautiful Country. So Italy is known as Il Bel Paese, which is the classical poetical appellative for Italy, meaning the beautiful country in Italian, due to its mild weather, cultural heritage, and natural endowment. Italy actually is considered one of the birthplaces of the Western civilization and a cultural superpower. This is due to this comparatively late unification and the historical autonomy of the regions that comprise the Italian peninsula. Many traditions and customs that are now recognized as distinctly Italian actually can be identified by their region of origin. Despite the political and social isolation of these regions, Italy's contribution to the cultural and historical heritage of Europe and the world remain immense. We can say that basically Italy and Greece represent like the cradle of the Western civilization for many different reasons. Because there was a very famous historian that says that basically the European civilization was born during the Middle Ages by the combination of three different elements. Actually, the institution of the Romans, the freedom of German people, and the Christianism that unified the civilization of Europe. And at least two of these elements were born and developed in the Italian peninsula. So basically the famous elements of Italian culture are its art, style, and iconic food. And moreover, even the music, and then we will get to this. Okay, the country boasts several world-famous cities, like Rome, that was the ancient capital of the Roman Empire, as we know, and the seat of the Pope of the Catholic Church, is capital of the reunified Italy, and actually is an artistic, cultural, and cinematographic center of world relevance. In Rome, especially in the past, but even nowadays, there's a place that's called Cinecittà, that is pretty much after Hollywood is is one of the center for the production of movies in the world. Many very important, even international movies were actually shot in Rome. Then there's Florence. That was the actual heart of the Renaissance, no? The period, I call this period the golden age of Italian civilization, and not just Italian, because in this period, the scholars, the artists, and the scientists achieved the great achievements, in these different fields, starting from the end of the Middle Ages. But there are many other important cities, also because Italy is different from many other countries of the world that are centralized, because of the history of separation, of division. Each town actually developed independently from the others. So in Italy, there are some big cities, of course, but there are hundreds of small towns that, I make an example. I come from a small town, a little bit more than 50,000 people live there. But we have like 7 theaters, we have operatic season, we have literature festivals. So they are very alive, because basically in the past, these were capital of city-states. So they are very developed from a cultural point of view. Just to mention a few other towns, for example, there's Turin. Turin is now one of the world's great centers of automotive engineering. It's the seat of a very famous car manufacturing group called Fiat, that now is together, actually, they both, the Chrysler group. So whenever you buy a Chrysler, you actually buy a car that is produced in Italy. And beside this, of course, the Fiat Group also own very famous luxury brands such as Ferrari, the iconic sport car, or Maserati. And there are also in other parts of Italy, like near Modena. Beside this, there are very, very important motorcycle manufacturing, like Ducati, Aprilia, Piaggio, the brand, the group that produced the famous and iconic Vespa, the scooter motorbike. And then Milan. Milan is the industrial and financial capital of Italy, and is one of the world's fashion capitals. Together with Paris, we can say, and New York maybe, is the most important center for the production of fashion brands. I can mention just a few of them because they are so famous, like Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana, Valentino, Trussardi, and many Benetton and many others, because this is one of the biggest business in Italy. Then everybody knows Venice, like that was the former capital during the Middle Ages, especially, of a major financial and maritime power, and actually now, as you know, it attracts million tourists because of the peculiarity of this town that was built on the islands, so without roads, but actually that still use boats as a means of transport, and is also the place where is organized the very famous Venetian Carnival, and is also the seat of two very important festivals. One is the Biennale, that is a contemporary arts festival. It is one of the most important in the world, and the Festival of Cinema, that after probably the Academy Awards and the Festival of Cannes in France is the most important in the world. In the south of Italy, we have the very famous city of Naples, with the largest historic city center in Europe and the oldest continuously active public opera house in the world, that is Teatro San Carlo. And still in the south, in the beautiful island of Sicily, we have Palermo, that is the capital of this region, that combine different influences from different civilizations, because it was colonized from the very, very old time before by the Greeks, the Phoenicians, and then later by the Romans, of course, and the Arabic people that stayed for 2 centuries in Sicily, and later on even the Vikings, the Northmen. So this made Sicily a very rich place in culture, with a very iconic cuisine that is a combination of these different tastes coming from the different parts of the Mediterranean Sea. And then I already mentioned Bologna. Bologna is not just the main transport hub of the country, but as well as home of the oldest university in the world. And by the way, even one of the most prestigious. Think that this university was founded in the year 888. So in the 9th century, there was already an active university that still survived nowadays, and where even the great Dante Alighieri studied in the 13th century. Italy, and because speaking of the country, is very important because it also answered the question why we should study Italian. Italy is home to the greatest number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. 58, actually, this is the last time I checked, because every year they add more, because Italy is really like an open-air museum everywhere. According to one estimate, the country is home to the half the world's great art treasures. Think, it's a pretty small country, it's more or less like Malaysia, and the half of all pieces of art in the world are in Italy. So you can understand from this that for Italy, the heritage, the culture is not just a great reason to visit this country, but actually is business. Because this, we will see later, generates a flow of tourists from all around the world, and because of this, in Italy, we develop a center of research that are top in the world in the fields of archaeology, history of arts, music, and the oldest cultural fields. So why we have because overall, the nation has an estimated of 100,000 monuments of any sort. Churches, cathedral, archaeological sites, houses, statues, museums. It's absolutely incredible. I'm not saying this because I'm Italian, but believe me, in Italy, it's incredible, because normally the tourists, they go to Italy and they visit Milan, Venice, Florence, Pisa, and Rome. This is a very, very, very tiny part of what they can see in Italy. Every single town, every village has monuments and history and culture. In fact, this started from the very old time, because before the Roman conquest of the peninsula, in southern Italy, there were already very important Greek colonies. In fact, southern Italy was known as Magna Grecia. That means the Great Greece. Furthermore, starting from the 8th century BC, the Etruscan civilization developed with its extraordinary funerary monument and its refined craftsmanship that we can observe in various sites of central Italy, as Volterra and Cerveteri. They are absolutely incredible. You will see these tombs, these this called necropolis, and inside they are totally painted in such a refined form of art that is unbelievable, thinking that they are 2,700 years old. And then, of course, absolutely extraordinary are the civil and religious work of the Roman civilization, with its aqueducts, stadiums, temples, palaces, villas, and baths, often embellished with mosaics of exceptional beauty. As we can see in the famous sites of Herculaneum and Pompeii, that they are the two cities near Naples, that they were buried by the lava after the eruption of the volcano Vesuvio, that is the volcano that dominated the Bay of Naples in the year 79 AD. And when you go there, is a visit that is really not just beautiful from an artistic point of view, for what you can see, but also touching, because they are still the bodies of these people that were actually killed by the eruption. And I remember that when I visit this place, there were two bodies that they are known as the two lovers. There were a guy and a girl that hugged each other in the last moment before they died, and after they were covered by the lava and turned into statues, pretty much. Then it will be too long, because I mean I don't think we have much time left, so I skip the Middle Ages, that actually was a great period of development with the growth of the economy in all these city-states of Italy that shaped the aspects of the different towns in Italy. And I go directly to the Renaissance. The Renaissance is a movement that started in the 15th century, that was born in Italy and later spread all around Europe. And in this period, we had artists such as Leonardo da Vinci, that the famous genius that capable of reaching the highest level in art, engineering, science, that actually foresaw the future. The only thing that he didn't invent was the engine. For the rest, he invented the airplane, the helicopter, and things that actually were created centuries later. And then, just to mention a few of this great period, Sandro Botticelli, the painter, author of the famous Birth of Venus, and later artists such as Michelangelo, the painter of the frescoes of the Sistine Chapel, the very iconic god that creates Eden, in one of the most remarkable frescoes of the history of art. And of course, Raphael, the most refined painter of the Renaissance. And this is not the only contribution, not just in figurative arts and architectures. Italy has also given a fundamental contribution to the development of Western classical music for three reasons. First of all, with its scholar, such as, for example, Guido d'Arezzo, who invented the modern notation system. And in fact, even nowadays, the way we write music with the 5 lines, they call pentagrams now, and the notes, this was invented in the 11th century by this monk called Guido d'Arezzo in Italy. And this was a great leap forward for the development of music. And later, during the Renaissance, other scholars, with their studies about the acoustics, the intonation, and the harmony, have profoundly influenced all the musicians from the 17th century onwards. Without forgetting, and this is the second point that is very important for the language, the extraordinary tradition of the makers of musical instruments, such as, for example, Andrea Amati, Gasparo da Salò, and Antonio Stradivari, to whom we owe the birth of contemporary violin and all those bow instruments, violin, viola, cello, and the bass. As well as Bartolomeo Cristofori, another Italian inventor of the piano. It is no coincidence that most of the terms with which we call contemporary musical instruments are of Italian origin. Piano, pianoforte, is an Italian word, okay, because it was the first keyboard that actually allowed you to make soft and loud sounds, okay? That's why soft is piano, loud is forte. That's why it's called pianoforte, okay? And violin comes from the word violino. Viola is the same word in English and in all Western languages. And a cello and clarinet and many others, just because they were invented or perfect in Italy because of this great tradition that you actually can observe in the fantastic museum of Cremona, where there's the greatest tradition of violin makers. Furthermore, of course, Italy is the homeland of opera. The Italian opera, a form of art that combines theatrical drama and music. This genre was invented by Claudio Monteverdi at the beginning of the 17th century, and in a short time, it conquered all of Europe, especially between the 18th and the early 19th century, with authors such as Gioacchino Rossini, Giuseppe Verdi, Giacomo Puccini, whose work continued to be performed all over the world. The popularity of the Italian opera was so widespread that many foreign composers wrote operas in Italian. For instance, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the famous Austrian composer, his most famous opera, Don Giovanni, Così fan tutte, and Le nozze di Figaro, are written in Italian because the lyrics were written by a famous Italian poet called Lorenzo da Ponte. Well, I studied music professionally speaking because I studied at the Conservatory of Music, the Academy of Music. I graduated in viola, and I also studied musicology at university. Well, I can tell you that there's no one musician, especially singers, opera singers, who doesn't speak Italian. Italian is still nowadays the language of classical and operatic music. So, for example, this is a field, if you're interested in arts, I mean architecture, figurative art, archaeology, or the classical and operatic music, learning Italian is actually a card that you can play because Italy is the center of the world in this field. And it still is. And especially in music, Italian, I remember that in the past I also wrote an article about this, that Italian is still the language of music. If you study music, you have to learn some Italian. Even in the scores, the music scores, you will see that to tell you how to play a song, how to play a piece of music, the indications are written in Italian. Adagio, to mean slow, largo, very slow, allegro, cheerful, etc. They are all written in Italian. So if you're a musician, you have to learn some Italian for sure. And of course, how can I not talk about the Italian cuisine? Because the Italian cuisine stands out for its incredible variety of dishes and products. It would be too long to mention all the tradition because this variety comes from mainly the same elements that characterize its artistic heritage, the mix of culture and the very long and refined history. So, as everybody knows, the iconic Italian food that became famous all around the world, like pizza, lasagna, and the extraordinary varieties of long and short pasta, the famous espresso, the coffee, espresso coffee, and the Italian gelato, the ice cream. But these are just a few of the the incredible numbers of dishes, because every single town in Italy has its own tradition, culinary tradition. And beside this, Italy is one of the world leader in the exports of food products. It is the first producer of wine in the world. The second of olive oil, and as you can see here, it also owns more than 600 varieties of cheeses. Everybody knows the Parmesan cheese or Gorgonzola or mozzarella, but there are 600 more. Okay, so and of course I had to cut it short, but the list would be huge. So if, for example, you are interested in the field of food import-export, or even in working in the industry of restaurants and leisure, definitely Italian is very important to learn because of this. Because if you think that there's no one other language that has that actually gave so much words to foreign languages about food. Italian is also the language of food in many ways. But Italy is not just this, because Italy is not just the beautiful country with beautiful monuments, environments, and mild weather. It's also the third largest economy in the Eurozone and the 8th in the world. With an annual market of 60 million people. And Italy is one of the main access points to a market of 500 million consumers in the European Union and 270 million in North Africa and the Middle East. Because Italy, geographically speaking, is placed in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. So, of course, from the very old time, we have a very tight relationship with the Middle East and North Africa. And in Italy, there are numerous centers of excellence in research and development. 16 Italian universities are ranked among the top 500 in the world. And with reference to some renowned faculties, 3 of our national universities are positioned among the top 10 in the world. So, we are among the countries with the highest number of applications for international registration of industrial designs, and are positioned third in the special ranking of the country with the highest number of applications for agri-food brands. Italy is the second largest manufacturing economy in Europe after Germany, and the 7th in the world. And of course, we is the 5th most recognized tourist destination in the world because of this of the beauty of the country. And this, of course, developed this sector, the tourism, at the top level in the world, and it employed thousands and thousands of people. And speaking of the job opportunities, if you decide to study Italian, as you can see, a recent study has shown that Made in Italy is the 3rd most recognized brand in the world after Coca-Cola and Visa. Italian brands such as Benetton, Barilla, Ferrari, Lavazza, Armani, Ferrero are renowned throughout the world for the exceptional quality of their products. And by the way, some of these brands, they are very well known all around the world, even here in Malaysia. Many people, they don't even know they are Italians. For example, did you know that Kinder is Italian? Did you know that Nutella is Italian? Did you know that, for example, Tic Tac or Mentos are all Italian brands that belongs to this huge company that is Ferrero, that is one of the biggest company in this specific sector. Then we have the varieties of pasta like Barilla and Buitoni, Divella. They are brands that you can find in the supermarket here in Malaysia actually very easily. And of course, I didn't mention all the fashion and design brands because clearly brands such as Dolce Gabbana, Valentino, Trussardi, Benetton, and Sisley, Diesel, they are all, known all around the world for the quality of their products. Italy is the culinary leader of the world, and the increased popularity of the language reflects the growing obsession with Italian food. In fact, as I said, is the language with the highest number of words for naming food, restaurant dishes, and produced. I also in the past worked as a private teacher, or I worked for private schools, and many of the people actually were interested in Italian because of the cuisine, because of the products. And this is not nothing, because in Italy this is a huge business. And also a great opportunity for the employability. And beside this, Italy leads the way in Europe in terms of the number of construction firms operating overseas. This is due to the Italian infrastructure industry, technology, design, execution, and managerial ability, which make it one of the most sophisticated in the world. I make you just a very simple example that you can see every day. All the windows of these new skyscrapers that are about to finish here in KL, the highest skyscrapers, was made by the Italian company that operate here in Malaysia. So we are leader even in architecture and in construction firms. And they normally operate overseas. There are very famous architects, Italian architects, like Renzo Piano, for example, who built the Opera House in Sydney. He built the museum in National Museum in Japan. So there are also this if you're interested in this sector, definitely Learn Italian give you an opportunity to enter in this charming and very interesting sector. Actually, because Italy has always invested in engineering and specialized in a variety of fields, including territorial planning, transportation engineering, architecture, and urban planning, among others. And thanks to Italy's expertise in this field, it is recognized as one of the top 3 nations in the world for the number of firms and projects abroad. So all this construction that you see in the world, big projects, they almost always involved Italian companies. In 2021, speaking, for example, of cars manufacturing, the Italian motorcycle market was the fastest growing in Europe. This combination of knowledge and skill is also the crux of Italy's shipbuilding sector, which is the world's #1 in the production of super yachts and cruise liners. Nearly half of all the super yachts purchased internationally are made in Italy. Okay. So the luxury field is definitely one of the most important in the world in Italy. So to conclude, actually consider that just in Malaysia, there are more than 110 Italian companies, and the Italian division has very strong links to the embassy and to all these companies. And they are always seeking for locals who can speak Italian language. So believe me, learning Italian, to graduate in Italian, and later we will talk also about in specific what you're going to study, our international relationship, and all the possibilities. But for example, I just can say this, in our program, the 7th semester, there's the industrial training. That means that you have to spend 1 semester working for a company. And of course, for the Italian division, there will be one of the 110 Italian companies in Malaysia. That means that our students, they had, before graduation, they already put a step inside the Italian companies operating here. And I can tell you, their salaries are pretty good. There's a great opportunity of traveling and a great opportunity of having a great career. So consider Italian for your future, because I always say that studying in the modern world to speak English is given for granted. Everybody speaks English in some fields. So you have to add another language that is not one of the most spoken one, not necessarily a language that is widespread, but if you speak Italian, you will be one of the few that actually can access these great job opportunities. So trust me on this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Andrea, for your broad explanation about Italy itself. So let's dress up and then we come back and in a bit and go to on our next topic.
Hai korang! Hari ni, Tina nak tanya korang, macam mana korang sebut perkataan ni? Sini ada beberapa jawapan. Jom kita tengok video ni.
Hai.
Hai.
Macam mana awak sebut ni?
UMCCed.
UMC. Hai. Macam mana awak sebut ni?
UMC.
UMCCed. 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 Oh, UMCCed.
Dia boleh jadi dua jawapan, UMCCed atau UMCCed.
UMCCed.
Macam mana nak sebut perkataan ni?
UMCCed.
UMCCed. UMCCed.
Betul lah tu.
UMCCed.
UMCCed.
UMCCed. Apa? UMCCed.
Ha,
UMCCed.
dah tengok kan? Macam jawapan yang korang bagi kan? Sebenarnya jawapan yang betul adalah UMCCed ataupun UMCCed. Jadi sebut betul-betul tau. Kalau tak nanti kena marah. Bye.
Hai, saya Abdul Hakim bin Azrai. Saya pelajar Diploma Pengurusan Sumber Manusia.
Hai, saya Sofia. Saya mengikuti kursus Diploma Pengurusan Perniagaan.
Nama saya Muhammad Amin bin Masfedin. Saya belajar di Universiti Malaya Center of Continuing Education. Saya mengambil jurusan Human Resource Management.
Hai, Assalamualaikum. Nama saya Nalisha Shazali binti Nazli. Pelajar pengurusan jurusan Business Management.
Hai, Assalamualaikum. Nama saya Muhammad Daniel. Saya Diploma Pengurusan Perniagaan. Saya amat bangga menjadi graduan Diploma Universiti Malaya, iaitu universiti nombor 1 dan juga terbaik di Malaysia. Dan pelbagai ilmu pengetahuan dan juga pengalaman yang dicurahkan oleh pensyarah sepanjang 2 tahun pengajian sememangnya amat saya hargai. To all the lecturers, you are very awesome and you are very marvelous.
Saya mengikuti program ini atas saranan ibu bapa kerana ianya diiktiraf JPA dan MQA. Program ini membuka peluang untuk saya melanjutkan pengajian ke peringkat sarjana muda khususnya di Universiti Malaya.
Sepanjang pengajian saya di UM, saya telah dapat menimba ilmu sebanyak mungkin dalam bidang yang saya minati. Pensyarah di sini adalah yang terbaik dan sentiasa memberi tunjuk ajar dan nasihat untuk memastikan para pelajar sentiasa fokus dan mendapat grade yang terbaik dalam kelas.
Melanjutkan pengajian di salah satu universiti terbaik di dunia adalah impian saya. Tempoh 2 tahun pengajian di UM banyak membantu saya untuk bersedia melanjutkan pengajian di peringkat sarjana muda di UM. Alhamdulillah, saya sudah andam lagi. UM always the best.
Saya sangat gembira dengan suasana pembelajaran serta kemudahan yang selesa sepanjang saya di Universiti Malaya. Saya aktiviti dalam kelas. Para pelajar untuk berpeluang untuk terlibat dalam mengajar pelbagai aktiviti sukan dan biadah sepanjang tahun. Kami enjoy. UM memang best.
Okay, so we're back again with today's webinar, Learning Italian and Spanish. So we're still with our special guest, Andrea and Adlina. So just a reminder to our viewers, we will give out the link for the attendance. So make sure you fill up the attendance form. We will give out the link. And we're a little running out of time, but that's okay. I just want to hear from Andrea. We already heard about a lot of things in Italy. So we want to know a short brief. Why should students actually learn Italian in Universiti Malaya, as in a Bachelor of Italian Language and Linguistics in Universiti Malaya?
Okay, first of all, the employability is the main reason, and I think that I already explained all, more or less, not all, because it's impossible in a short time, but many of the possibilities they had, the students, because of the presence of Italian companies in Malaysia, and also then we will see from the structure of our division the possibility even to go to Italy to continue their studies and to work there. Why studying in UM? The answer is very simple. We are the only Italian division, not just in Malaysia, but in Southeast Asia. So, actually all our teachers are natives. So basically we have a very deep knowledge in not just the language, of course, but even of the culture and the environment and the situation of Italy. And beside this, of course, before I saw in the chat someone was asking about what you learn. You learn just the language? Of course not. Actually, we can say that our programs are divided in three parts, okay? Because there's, of course, the part that is related to the proficiency. So normally our students, they study for 3 semesters, pretty much just the language, intensively, 12 hours per week. But then they start with the academic courses and they are, so not just, of course, proficiency, pronunciation, grammar, the vocabulary, and all the writing and speaking skills that are, of course, fundamental to learn the language. But there's a part that is about the culture and the history. So we have 2 levels of literature, 2 levels of civilization. So we talk about the history, the art, music, okay, and the historical evolution of the language. So we give you actually a quite deep knowledge of what Italian language and Italian culture is. And third, that's what is the practical part, that is the one that is more related to the employability, the possibility to actually have a future with this language. So we have a series of courses that are related to, for example, Italian for administration and business. We have Italian for tourism, economic and finance. We have, of course, a course that teach you how to translate, because many of our students want to become translator. And of course, we have this subject. And for those who want to continue their studies, like Adlina, that is one of our alumni that became a teacher here, actually we have also a subject to teach, to approach in teaching Italian as a foreign language. So we teach all the methods, the most modern and advanced methods to actually teach the language. So you will be formed, we can say, from 360 degrees. There's not just the language. Language is just the means that you need to actually study what is more advanced. And speaking of the Italian division, we have international relationship and scholarships. So, for example, thanks to our scholarships, our students have the chance to go to Italy, in Perugia, to further their study, to improve their Italian, to reach C1 level, that is bilingual level. We currently have 14 students in Italy at the moment for the summer courses. And then they had the chance to spend one or more semester in the University of Messina in Sicily, and starting from the next year at the University of Urbino. We are working on it, but we are very close to actually sign the MOA with this very famous and important university in the frame of the so-called Erasmus Plus program, in order to take exams and gain credits that can be transferred in So you don't just go there to, of course, improve your language, and but also to take exams that can be recognized here. So you actually improve your proficiency, but at the same time you don't lose the possibility to continue your study. And Italian division, by the way, is currently working on the possibility to establish an agreement with the University Ca' Foscari in Venice to broaden the offer for our students to further their study at the master level. So they can graduate here, have the bachelor degree, and then go to Italy for the master degree. And by the way, the Ca' Foscari University in Venice is the most important in Europe for Oriental studies. So basically, there are studies of Islamic culture, Japanese, Korean, and Urdu and Tamil. So there is a very, very interesting opportunity. And to do this, we have many scholarships, actually. So scholarship, they are provided by the Italian Embassy, the Italy-Malaysia Business Association, the so-called IMBA, that is very important because it's the association that actually connect all the Italian companies. So having a scholarship from them is also a way, when they come back, to have a possibility to be employed in one of the more than 100 companies. Then we have scholarship from the private sector. So Italian companies operating in Malaysia, they actually give us funds to send the students to perfect their language in Italy, because they, as I told you, they need locals who can speak the language. So they are keen to pay for it. Okay. And then we have the so-called MAECI scholarship. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that provides scholarship. And of course, the Erasmus Plus program that is from the European Union. So yes, last year we actually got 16 scholarships for our students, and actually simply because some of the students didn't want to go, but otherwise we would have more actually to send our students to study there. So I think that we don't just provide a very complete education about the language, the culture, but also we are very practical, and we are connected to the companies, and this is probably the main reason to choose to choose the Faculty of Languages and Linguistics, and in specific, for what it concerns me, to study Italian in the Italian division here.
All right, thank you very much for your brief regarding the Bachelor of Italian Languages and Linguistics in Universiti Malaya itself. So we go back to Miss Adlina. So we all know Adlina is an alumni from UMCCed itself. So I believe that you're taking human resource back in UMCCed, correct?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
So
and it's really
we want to know your journey from UMCCed yourself. So we know that a lot of people that taking diploma in UMCCed say that they don't have opportunity to actually study in the UM itself. So can you tell us a little bit more about your journey?
Thank you so much for the question. I actually wanted to tell the story as well. Yeah, so the thing is, when I did HR, human resource, I discovered the fact that there was such a thing as linguistics, and there is one faculty, the only one in Malaysia, actually, the Faculty of Languages and Linguistics. So okay, initially I actually wanted to learn English, as I've always been into like grammar and stuff. But on the other hand, I also always had a thing for Spanish, like since I was little. Like when I was 7, I started watching like telenovelas on TV. So I always felt like, oh, wow, it's such a beautiful language and whatnot. But never have I thought that like years later, I would, get to learn and now teach the language itself. So when I did, actually, you have said it's just I a great start for those who want to, know more about the workplace actually. So it was a great start for me. I did HR, and then there's like a bit of business here, a bit of accountings, um, management and whatnot. So no, um, okay, and then I knew that there's like a chance for me to get into and there's like a list of courses that I can actually choose, programs, sorry, that I can choose from So, and then I looked into the catalog, but English was not in there. Like from the UMCCed students or graduates, we can't really choose English. But okay, so I consult with one of the lecturers there at the educational carnival at DTC, and they told me that okay, you can choose like one of the um foreign languages as it's really good, for your CV and whatnot. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll consider it. So I was like thinking between two languages, Spanish and French. But I thank God that I chose Spanish, as it's actually easier to pronounce compared to French. Yeah, I did. And so when I get the call, the offer letter, I was like, okay. Then no, sorry. Before I started it, during the application, I started like playing some, language learning apps like Duolingo. I'm sure everyone knows that. It's really a good start, like for starters, for amateurs, it's really a good start for to learn languages. And also, I did a little bit of studying online, studyspanish.com. It explains in English, but it's really good, very comprehensive. And then, yeah, I got it. I got the offer letter and I accepted it with a lot of butterflies in my tummy because it was really a gamble because we really don't know. We were starting from zero, right? So yeah, alhamdulillah, I did well and I was eventually like the best in my class. So yes, I think especially for those who are learning at UMCCed now that learns business, accountings and whatnot, a word, and I quote from the employers nowadays, they actually say it's easier to teach um, teach graduates the managerial skills or accounting skills and whatnot than to teach a foreign language itself. So if you learn Spanish or even Italian, being the only ones, the few ones that know that language in this country is like a huge plus for you. Seriously, because people always say go for Japanese, Japanese, and whatnot, right? I'm not saying it's not good, but you have to look at um when everyone's like going right, you should like consider going to the one place that everyone doesn't go. So that's how you become um outstanding. Yeah. So that's really how everything started. So I actually have a slide to share if we have time. Do we have
Yeah,
time?
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's actually how it started. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the program just really quick. So this is the mural that actually is sponsored by the Embassy of Colombia. We have good relations with the Spanish-speaking countries and embassies in Malaysia. So there are 9 of them. We'll go through that in just a bit. First of all, we'll look at the lecturers, okay, los profesores. For now we only have five. Okay, there are five of us. Dr. Rosita, she's like the OG in this game. She's like she's been here for like over 20 years already. And Mr. Hisham is also one of our alumni. All three of us locals are alumni. Yeah. So, and then there's myself, and then Mr. Canning. He's from Venezuela. So it's from Latin America lah. And also we have another native, which is Miss Amanda. Her contract will be ending soon, and a new lecturer will come in. A guy lecturer. Okay, so usually from Spain, we already have like two, including Miss Amanda. I mean, previously it was another lecturer. This is sponsored by the Spanish government. Okay, the lecturers, half of the salary. So and then we'll look into the course distribution. I think Mr. Andrea has already mentioned this, but I'll just go through very quickly. Like he said, we have language proficiency courses in which we learn languages, the grammar, the speaking, writing, reading, listening parts, all in the first 3 semesters. Okay, yeah, sorry. The reading, speaking, writing, and now it's actually a little different. But yeah, it's spread out throughout these semesters. And also, usually by the end of the 3rd semester, you'll be getting a level of A2 or B1, kind of lower intermediate, like that. Okay. So and then starting semester 4 to semester 6, we start with the content courses, which are like the branches of linguistics, like phonetics. Sorry, I should make this bigger. Yeah, phonetics and phonology, where we learn the pronunciation, like very, very detailed morphology, study of words. Syntax is a how you analyze like the discourse and whatnot, and also analyzing texts. Language and civilization, where we learn the history, the culture, and whatnot, historical development. Yeah, the one that I started with just now, like the origins of the language and whatnot, how it evolved throughout the years. And then we also learn literature. We have translation, and the last 4 is actually quite new, and it started with my program, my batch. So before my batch, it was only all these. Okay, but so since my batch 2016, they included these 4. So business and administration, we learn all this in Spanish or in Italian. So business and administration, varieties of language, didactics. Didactics is they teach us how to teach people. Yeah. So, and then communication and tourism. So basically these 4 are actually quite good, for our employability. Okay. And we also have in the semester 6, we have the final year academic project, the FYP. So in which we will do academic project, writing a paper like around 4,000 words, 3,000 to 5,000. Yeah. So that's that. And also the last semester, it will be like the industrial training, where we will go to companies or AMC itself to do our latihan industry, the industrial training, to gain knowledge on how to work. So this is actually the full by semester. I think I could share this with you later, but probably we don't have to go through it. Okay, so we also have student mobility programs. We have generally since the year 2017, we have established like a good relationship with the Universidad de La Rioja, Spain, in the northern region of Spain. itself. So we have like since then we have about almost 10, I guess, students that went to study there, and this is under a partial scholarship by the foundation of the university itself, the University of La Rioja, in which they learn language and culture. Okay, and they always go traveling here and there. The university will take them traveling. Also, another university that is in our list of MOAs, Universidad de Jaume I. Back then, there was like four of them that went there. And then Universidad de Alicante, where I and my junior went. Okay. Um, just right before the pandemic. So during like, we went there for 6 months, but only went in class for like 7 weeks and then online. So it's kind of unfortunate, but like, yeah, I'll probably go there again someday soon. And then we have Universidad de Pompeu Fabra is also under the Alianza de Cuatro Universidades, the Alliance of Four Universities. There are two universities in Barcelona and two universities in Madrid. But this one is actually a hard scholarship to get, but this guy really managed to get it, and so proud of him. He's really good. His level of proficiency and whatnot, and he's also very active in sports. He's like the football player as well, so that's why in his a letter, like a recommendation letter and whatnot, he's like the top. So he got the scholarship. And also two of our students, my seniors actually, they went to Colombia. Colombia is really far. But yeah, they made it. They went to EAFIT and Medellin. So this is under the scholarship from the Colombian government. Okay. Okay, like I said, we have good relationship with the Spanish-speaking embassies in Malaysia. We have 9 of them: Embassy of Spain, Colombia. These two are like our most cherished ones, because we really have established the relationship for a long time. And then came Embassy of Argentina, the Embassy of Chile, the Embassy of Peru, the Embassy of Mexico, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Cuba. And from time to time, we always organize events that we can actually see the video in a bit, just around 2 minutes. Current projects are myself and two other local lecturers, and also the dean herself, and also some of the Spanish lecturers from other universities, a few of them, 3, I guess. We are currently working on a translation project in collaboration with the Embassy of Peru. We're translating a poetry book from Spanish to Malay. And we're also working on creating a double degree program with La Universidad de La Rioja. Okay. For example, we learn for like 3 or 2 years and a half here, and then another year at La Rioja itself, doing business or tourism. I think we would incline to tourism, but we'll see. And then, of course, we're still decorating our Spanish nature room for our students to learn there. We also have some media coverage on the newspapers of the programs or events, activities that we've done. For example, this is one of the short films that was starring by our lecturers, Canning himself, Mr. Canning, and Dr. Rosita, and also Dr. Eugenia, and also 2 of our alumni, which were then our students. And this was actually nominated in the Alicante Film Festival. Alicante Film Festival is like the Cannes of for English, it's always Cannes Festival, right? But in Spanish-speaking countries, it's the Alicante Film Festival, and our short film was nominated there, so it's really cool. Yeah, and then the mural by the Colombian artist, sponsored by the Embassy of Colombia, and also there was one time that we did flamenco workshop. Flamenco is a famous dance in the southern Spain, basically in Andalusia. So yeah, we did that. And okay, this is the video that I was talking about. It's just like around 2 minutes, so you enjoy it. I'm not sure you can hear it. Can you hear it?
I don't think so. We can hear it, but that's okay. We can just watch.
Okay. Okay. And also this is like the second last slide, I guess. Okay, for our alumni, they're currently working on all over the place, mostly in multinational companies like Accenture, Respond.io, DHL, Paul, and also Shell. So if you're wondering, like the range of the salary will be like starting from 3K, yeah, 3K to 5K, depending on what's the scope of the job, but usually starting from 2K. So there are a few here, a few in Accenture, a few in Respond.io, a few in DHL, one in Paul, one in Shell. So yeah, so if you're thinking that like what do we do with all this foreign language, right? These foreign languages. It's definitely like I said, being the only few ones, because Spanish as well as Italian, we are the only university in Malaysia that offers the bachelor program. Okay, here because there are other universities, there are those courses, but only just for elective courses. Okay, not the program. So do think about that. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to promote the Latin American Festival that will be held on Sunday, 25th of September. So yeah, if you want to know like the culture, there's always like a lot of dancing, a lot of food. But you should definitely ask them about the halal and whatnot. They will like tell you nicely. I've been there once, so they're really nice. So it's at the BB Park, just in front of Lao. Yeah. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias a todos to have staying until this very moment, and also to Mr. Andrea for like helping me out here and there, giving some insights and whatnot. And also, don't forget to follow our Instagram, Spanish Division UM. Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much for briefly talking about Bachelor of Spanish and whatnot. There we have it, our webinar, Learning Italian and Spanish. So it's been a pleasure, and thank you very much for you guys to actually talk about this opportunity for actually student to study in UM itself. So just I want to take this opportunity to say that Bachelor of Italian language and Linguistics, and also Bachelor of Spanish Language and Linguistics is available on our saluran terbuka. So it's still open until 15 September. So take this opportunity to learn more about Italian and Spanish. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Before I end up our webinar, make sure you guys fill up the form for the attendance. Don't forget to fill up the form. And before I end up, wrap it up everything today, I just want to quote something from Dwayne The Rock Johnson itself. It is nice to be important, but it is more important to be nice. Be kind to one another. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Ciao.